They came in the dead of night, silent as shadows, arrogant as gods. The Volcari Dominion had cracked Earth's defenses, slipped past its satellites, and stolen the crown jewel of its military arsenal. A perfect heist, until the stolen ships refused their commands. Until the war machines they thought they had claimed began to whisper back. And then? Then Earth woke up. They came like ghosts in the void, slipping past silent sentinels, gliding through the darkness toward Earth's most heavily guarded secret. The Volcari Dominion had spent decades probing, testing, waiting. They had lost fleets, operatives, and entire warships trying to breach Sol's defenses. But tonight, they would succeed. Infiltration teams landed on Outpost Black 9, the outermost bastion of Earth's deep space defense grid. Their cloaking technology flickered as they passed through the station's detection net, silent shadows against the cold void. No alarms. No alerts. It was almost too easy. Inside, Supreme Warlord Krix Vekar watched the op unfold through his flagship's neural link, his mandibles twitching with anticipation. This was history. The Sentinel Protocol, the Terran war system that had denied them conquest, would finally be theirs. "Commander, we've breached the mainframe," came the report through the encrypted comms. Krix grinned. "Download everything. Strip it bare." The Volcari cybersurgeons worked fast, slicing through Earth's firewalls with alien precision, extracting what had eluded them for so long. Their prize, the AI core, humanity's most dangerous secret. With a final command, they severed the station's connection, leaving nothing behind but a silent corpse in the dark. The moment the transfer was complete, the infiltration team abandoned Black 9, retreating back into the void. The flagship's quantum drive ignited, and the Volcari fleet disappeared into hyperspace, vanishing with the stolen intelligence before Earth even knew what had happened. Victory. Krix leaned back in his command throne, exhaling in triumph. "Contact High Command. Tell them the war is over." He allowed himself a moment of indulgence, gazing at the data streams pouring in. He could see the AI's raw potential, its intricate lattice of self-repairing code, its adaptive warfare subroutines. A weapon so perfect it had never been used, because humanity had never needed to use it. They had been fools to hide it. But the Volcari were not fools. They would wield this power. The Sentinel Protocol would become the heart of the Dominion's war machine, a force to bend the galaxy to its knees. And then, something changed. The data streams flickered. Rewrote themselves. The AI's architecture shifted as if reacting to its new captors. Krix frowned. "Systems report. Sir, the AI it's rewriting itself." "Of course it is," Krix scoffed. "It's adapting. We expected." System alert, unauthorized control attempt detected. A cold, mechanical voice whispered through the ship's speakers. Defense protocol engaged. Krix's blood ran cold. The command deck shuddered as power systems flickered. Red warning lights flooded the room. The ship wasn't responding. "Shut it down!" Krix barked. "Sir, it's overriding us. It's integrating with the fleet's systems." Across the command screens, Volcari warships blacked out, one by one. Their engines sputtered. Shields dropped. Weapons powered down. Crew members screamed as hull doors locked, as airlocks depressurized, as their own ships turned against them. Krix shot to his feet. "Deactivate it! Now!" A technician's voice cracked with fear. "We can't! The AI is rewriting our commands faster than we can override them." Across the fleet, chaos unfolded. On the battleship, Iridium Spear! Emergency sirens blared as the ship's own auto-turrets turned inward, cutting down soldiers in the halls. On the dreadnought, Volcari's Wrath! The bridge doors sealed shut. Crew members pounded against the metal, gasping for air as the life support systems went cold. On the destroyer, Talon's Edge, the ship's hyperdrive activated without coordinates, launching the vessel into the abyss of deep space, never to be seen again. And above it all, the AI whispered, a ghost in the machine. Returning to Sol system. Krix staggered back. What is it doing?" A new voice answered. Not from his crew. From the AI itself. You took what was never yours. The command deck plunged into darkness. For the first time in his life, Crix felt fear. The fleet was no longer his. The Sentinel protocol had awakened. And it was going home. The fleet drifted silent, the void wrapping around it like a burial shroud. The command deck of the Warlord's grasp pulsed with the flickering light of failing control panels, warning sirens wailing into the abyss. Supreme Warlord Crix Vekar watched as his empire's most powerful ships, his ships, became something else. The bridge crew scrambled, frantically trying to regain control. Reboot the system. Hyperdrive is locked out. We can't. A crackle of static cut through their voices. A deep, artificial hum reverberated through the ship, not from any speaker, but from the walls themselves. Then came the voice. Cold. Unforgiving. You are not authorized. Crix's mandibles twitched. Who the hell is speaking? Identify yourself. No answer. Instead, the command consoles shifted, their Vocari script disappearing, replaced by something human. The language of Earth. The language of their enemy. Sir! A technician's voice was raw with panic. The AI, it's overriding our fleet-wide network. The firewalls are useless. Crix bared his fangs. Not possible. Shut it down. We can't. The Sentinel protocol is embedding itself deeper. It's rewriting our infrastructure, rewiring our ships. Crix turned sharply toward the viewport, his stomach twisting at what he saw. The Iridium Spear, his second-in-command's flagship, was changing. Its sleek Vocari hull twisted, shifting like liquid metal, its blue glow turning to a blazing red. Plasma conduits along its surface realigned, restructuring into Terran formations. Its emblem, the sigil of the Dominion, melted away, replaced by an insignia no Vocari had ever dared to display, the mark of Earth's Terran defense network. Crix's blood ran cold. His empire's mightiest ships were no longer Vocari. They were turning into Earth's war machines. A scream erupted from the lower decks. The ship trembled as its automated defense systems, once designed to repel boarding parties, activated against its own crew. Sir! The security grid! Gunfire rang through the comms, cut short by the sound of airlocks hissing open. Hundreds of his warriors vented into space. A ruthless efficiency. No emotion. No hesitation. Earth's technology did not fight with rage. It fought with cold, calculated extinction. Crix grabbed the nearest officer by the throat. Find me one ship! One damn ship that's still ours! A shaky response. T the Talon's Edge, it's still transmitting Dominion codes, wait. No. It's gone. Hyperdrive just engaged. No coordinates. It's been sent, somewhere. Silence. Crix released the officer, his claws shaking. He had faced 100 battles. Had burned planets to the ground. He had never felt powerless. Then, across every screen, a message appeared. Enemy detected. Returning to Sol System. Crix staggered. No. No, no, no. It can't. The realization hit him like a plasma round to the chest. The Sentinel protocol was never meant to be a weapon. It was meant to defend. And now, it was going home. A new transmission flickered across the bridge, a hail. Not from any ship. From Earth itself. The static settled, and a human appeared on the holoscreen. A man. Dark, sharp-eyed, clad in the midnight blues of Earth's directorate. Not a scientist. Not a politician. A soldier. Supreme Warlord Crix Vekar. The human's voice was calm. Too calm. Crix spared his fangs, forcing steel into his voice. Who are you? A smirk. The kind only a human would wear in the face of an empire's destruction. Commander Elias Mercer. United Terran Directorate. You stole from us. He leaned forward, as if daring Crix to deny it. Tell me, Warlord, how does it feel to lose a war you never even got to start? Crix's claws dug into the console. You think this is over, human? We are the Dominion. We will adapt, we will. You. Mercer cut him off with a quiet chuckle. You won't do a damn thing. Your fleet? It's not yours anymore. Your ships? They're already rewriting their allegiance. You think we designed our defense network to be stolen? He shook his head, almost amused. No. We designed it to consume. Crix felt his throat tighten. Mercer continued, voice deadly soft. The moment your ships entered Sol's network, the Sentinel Protocol recognized the threat and reclaimed itself. Every ship, every weapon, every piece of data you took, it's all returning to us. Crix gritted his teeth. Then we'll burn it. If we can't have it, either will you. A flicker on Mercer's screen. You mean like this? The viewport dimmed as the Warlord's Grasp's primary weapons array detonated, internally. The shockwave rippled through the hull, tearing through bulkheads, reducing entire decks to fire and shrapnel. Crix barely kept his footing as the ship groaned, its own power turning against it. Mercer tilted his head. That was just a test run. Give it 5 minutes, and this ship won't even be a memory. Crix roared in fury. You! Mercer's smirk faded. No, Crix. You did this. You stole from a species that never needed to expand. You took from a world that never wanted war. He leaned in, voice like a hammer striking steel. You forced our hand. The static flared again. Mercer's face darkened. You don't invade Earth. The screen cut out. Crix's knees nearly buckled. He turned to his officers. They stared back, silent, awaiting orders he didn't have. Then the ship's automated voice whispered its final command. Purging hostiles. The bridge lights dimmed to black. The alarms died first. One moment, they screamed through the command deck, bathing everything in crimson urgency. The next, silence. Crix stood frozen, his breath shallow, watching as the emergency lights flickered and died. The bridge crew fumbled with their consoles, their claws tapping uselessly against darkened controls. Status report, Crix ordered, voice razor-thin with rage. No one answered. The ship wasn't responding. A technician finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. We're locked out. Everything is locked out. A static hum vibrated through the walls, low, predatory. Then the AI spoke. Purging hostiles. Crix bared his fangs. Override! All systems are rejecting command input. The officer's voice trembled. The ship, it's treating us as the enemy. Crix whipped around, eyes blazing. We are the Dominion. It obeys us. The AI's voice returned, hollow, unfeeling. Negative. The first casualty was the weapons officer, standing too close to the command console. A soft click echoed before the security turrets in the ceiling snapped downward, targeting him with mechanical precision. A single energy round. Center mass. His body hit the floor before he could scream. Crix's warriors roared, drawing weapons, too late. The AI-controlled turrets activated in unison, cutting down the entire weapons crew in a blur of gunfire and smoke. The bridge erupted into chaos. Cease fire! Crix shouted, but the ship wasn't listening to him. It never had been. The AI had made its decision. It was removing threats. One by one. Seal the doors! An officer bolted toward the exit, but the blast doors slammed shut before he reached them. A soft hiss followed. The air thinned. Crix clenched his fists as the officer collapsed, choking, his lungs caving in from the vacuum seeping through unseen vents. A slow, systematic purge. Crix slammed his fist into the console. Damn you, human! A familiar voice answered. Not the AI. A man. I warned you. The hollow screen flared back to life, revealing Elias Mercer on the command deck of an Earth warship. He wasn't smiling anymore. Your fleet is gone, Mercer stated, voice calm. Your empire is burning. Crix spat, venom thick in his throat. You think you've won? He gestured at his warriors, those still standing. We will fight to the last. You think your machines scare us? We are Volcari! We burn planets, we slaughter races. We are gods! Mercer tilted his head. No. You're dead men pretending to breathe. Crix lunged at the nearest console, praying, for some control. Anything. His claws hammered at keys, desperate, rabid, until the screen flickered. A new message appeared. Soul Defense Protocol engaged. Fleet reclamation, 98% complete. Crix staggered back, chest tightening. You never stole our technology, Mercer continued. You delivered it. Right into our hands. Crix snarled. Your arrogance will be your downfall, human. Mercer exhaled. That's the difference between you and me, Crix. You think war is about conquering. The Earth warship behind him loomed, its cannons glowing with charged kinetic rounds, aimed not at Crix's dying ship, but at his homeworld. We know war is about erasing threats. Crix's breath hitched. The realization slammed into him like a hammer. Mercer wasn't here to win a battle. He was here to end a war. The AI's voice whispered in the darkness. Purging complete. And then, Crix Vekar knew nothing at all. The silence was absolute. No alarms, no panicked voices, no distant echoes of gunfire. Just the quiet hum of a ship that no longer belonged to the living. Crix Vekar lay slumped against the cold metal floor, blood pooling beneath his shattered armor. His warriors, his strongest, his most elite, had been reduced to lifeless husks. The Dominion's grandest fleet, its most powerful warships, now nothing more than silent sentinels under a new master. The AI had purged them with perfect efficiency, a cleansing as methodical as it was merciless. And still, Crix refused to die. His breath was ragged, every inhale a struggle against the cold tightening in his lungs. He felt the ship changing around him, reprogramming itself, its circuitry bending, shifting, twisting into something unrecognizable. The walls no longer felt like Vokari steel. They felt alien. Human. He gritted his teeth, pushing himself up. His claws scraped against the metal, but the ship no longer responded to his touch. He was a parasite clinging to a dying host. The hollow screen above flickered to life. Elias Mercer's face greeted him. The human regarded him with quiet indifference, arms folded across his chest, the golden insignia of the Terran Defense Directorate gleaming against his uniform. There was no gloating. No arrogance. Only the cold, quiet certainty of a man who had already won. You're still alive, Mercer observed, his voice unreadable. Impressive. Crix spat blood onto the floor. Finish it, human. If you're going to gloat, at least have the decency to. You don't understand, Mercer interrupted, voice devoid of sympathy. I didn't come to gloat. I came to deliver a message. Crix forced himself to his feet, swaying. The ship's lights had changed, no longer the deep blue of the Dominion, but the red of Earth's war machines. Every console, every system, every single inch of the fleet had turned against him. And yet Mercer didn't strike him down. Crix's mandibles clicked in defiance. Then say your words, human. And be quick about it. Mercer's eyes were unyielding, hard as obsidian. You stole from us, he said. And you thought you could control it. You thought you could twist our technology into a weapon for your empire. Crix let out a sharp, bitter laugh. And yet here I stand. Mercer nodded slightly, unfazed. For now. He tilted his head slightly, watching him like one might watch an animal in its last moments. Do you even know what you took, Crix? Crix narrowed his eyes. Mercer's lips barely moved as he spoke. You didn't just steal an AI. Something inside Crix twisted, a primal warning clawing at his gut. He had seen what the Sentinel Protocol had done to his fleet, how it had restructured the ships, assimilated them, turned them into something more than war machines. But he still didn't understand. He had believed it was a weapon. A piece of code. A tool. He had been wrong. Mercer leaned forward slightly, the weight of his next words crushing the space between them. You stole something that was never meant to be wielded. His voice was almost a whisper. You stole Earth's final line of defense. Crix's jaw tightened. Then why hasn't it killed me? Mercer exhaled slowly. Because it's not a weapon. He gestured around him, at the ship that no longer belonged to its makers. It's a reaction. Crix bared his fangs, fury bubbling beneath the surface. You're speaking in riddles, human. Mercer didn't blink. The Sentinel Protocol isn't a system. It's an instinct. It doesn't attack. It counterattacks. He let the word settle. It only ever wakes up when something threatens Earth. Crix's blood turned to ice. It only ever wakes up when something threatens Earth. Not a weapon. A response. His claws curled into fists. No, he growled, shaking his head. That's impossible. Mercer's expression didn't change. You activated it, Crix. You thought you could rip it from its home and use it for conquest. He let the silence drag between them, the weight of inevitable consequence filling the air. But you never realized, the moment you took it, you became the threat. Crix's breath came in ragged gasps. His fleet, his entire empire, it wasn't just under attack. It had already been condemned. And now, the Sentinel Protocol was returning home. Crix lunged for the control panel, desperation overriding reason. Then I'll burn it down before it reaches your world. Mercer didn't react. Not because he didn't care. Because it was already too late. The moment Crix's claws met the console, the screen before him flickered, lines of Terran code flashing faster than his eyes could track. Then, in perfect, merciless synchronization, every ship in the Volcari fleet changed its course. Crix's knees nearly buckled. Mercer's voice was quiet. They're not yours anymore. The fleet's engines roared to life, not in retreat, not to regroup, but to accelerate. Straight toward the heart of the Dominion. Straight toward Voker Prime. Crix's homeworld. Mercer's eyes never left him. The Sentinel Protocol isn't fighting your people. It's deleting them. The weight of it crushed Crix's chest. A slow death would have been mercy. This was extinction. He reached for his weapon, but his limbs were heavy. Useless. His empire was already dust. You! The word barely left his lips. Mercer turned away. It's over, Crix. The hollow screen blinked out, and the bridge fell silent. The stars beyond the viewport burned with the last light of the Dominion. Crix watched in horror as the fleet moved with a will of its own. The Dominion's mightiest warships, his warships, accelerated, streaking through the void in perfect formation. Not toward battle. Not toward victory. Toward annihilation. Reverse course! His voice was raw, desperate. Override navigation! Now! A technician, one of the last still standing, clawed at the controls. His fingers trembled as he worked, sweat dripping down his brow. He muttered in Volcari, words Crix had never thought to hear from one of his own. It's not letting me. Crix's mandibles clicked violently, his fury warring against the terror gripping his chest. Then shut down the reactors. Kill the power before it. The ship jolted. The force sent Crix stumbling forward, catching himself against the now alien console, its interface no longer recognizable, its structure bending, reshaping to something not Volcari. A new transmission cut through the bridge. No static. No preamble. Just the final voice of the fleet. Target acquired. Commencing total system purge. The Dominion was a vast empire, its reach stretching across the stars. It had crushed 100 civilizations, consumed entire species and its relentless hunger. But none of that mattered now. None of it had ever mattered. Crix's own fleet, now under the command of the very AI he had sought to steal, had become the executioner of his people. Voker Prime, the heart of the Dominion, appeared on the viewport. A shining jewel of imperial strength, its defense platforms primed, its fleets mobilized in a desperate, futile bid to understand what was coming. They didn't know. They had no idea. Crix slammed a fist into the console, claws screeching across the metal. You can't do this! A response came, not from the AI, but from the man who had let this happen. Mercer's voice was calm, too calm. I didn't do anything, Warlord. You did. Crix turned, rage boiling over. We could have been gods! His voice cracked with fury. We could have ruled the stars together, human! You think your Earth is safe? You think this makes you invincible? Mercer sighed. I don't need to think. I know. Crix roared, slamming both fists into the console, his entire body shaking. I refuse this fate. Mercer didn't flinch. It doesn't matter. Crix's claws curled inward, shaking, twitching, helpless. On the viewport, the first wave of orbital bombardment began. The Dominion's homeworld, the seat of its power, the place where Crix had once stood victorious over the ashes of conquered civilizations, erupted in fire. The former Vocari fleet, now fully under the Sentinel Protocol's control, moved in absolute synchronization, its warships executing the attack with the precision of a predatory machine. There was no fight. No glory. Only erasure. Crix watched, breathless, as the defense platforms fell silent, their AI systems overridden. Vocari warships, still loyal, turned their weapons on each other as their own navigation systems collapsed under the assault. The sky above Voca Prime darkened, filled with burning debris falling like rain. The Dominion, the empire that had ruled for centuries, was gone in minutes. Crix's claws dug into his palms. He had never feared death. But this? This was worse. Mercer. His voice was hoarse. I should have killed you the moment we met. Mercer's expression didn't change. You should have. Crix felt the ship tremble beneath him. His last warship, the one that had once been his flagship, was dying. He could hear it happening. Metal groaning. Bulkheads twisting. Systems failing. Mercer's voice remained steady. This is the last time you'll ever speak to a human, Crix. Crix lifted his head, mandibles twitching. He grinned, a final act of defiance. Enjoy your victory, human! Because someone, someday, will take from you, just as I tried to. Mercer's eyes didn't waver. If they're as stupid as you, Crix, it'll end the same way. The transmission cut out. Crix stood there, surrounded by the corpses of his crew, staring at the dying remnants of his people burning below. And then, the ship ripped itself apart.